We're back. You know, such a good guest. You get 2 episodes, man.
So excited. Thank you.
You know, yeah. This is kind of part 2 with Chandler, and we just have a lot of really good stuff that we talked about in his first episode, mental fitness and how he applies it in his kind of journey and adventure with his own personal growth and development challenges, and an amazing episode. So hopefully you watch that. But this, I believe, needed its own episode. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things, specifically AI, and how leaders, especially in the tech space, might be, using it, misusing it, the implications it can have on organizations. And we're really going to focus on this article that Chandler sent me probably a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, man, I think you should read this article. As a leader in the tech space, it really kind of, I'll say, would you say,
it defined
really
the moment
of how you
really well for me.
Right, as a person that is in this, that is one of these leaders trying to make this balance in a tech company. And so the name of the article, and we'll post it in the show notes so you can read it, but it's a LinkedIn article called "What Leaders Are Missing in the AI Race," and it's written by Amy Sanchez. And you had an opportunity to speak with her too, more about it. And so I'll kind of turn it over to you and let you talk about kind of summarizing what the article is saying. And I'm going to say right to the camera, anybody out there that's listening, if you're a leader of teams, organizations, pay attention to what we're talking about here. Because if you don't, you could go extinct. Your business may collapse. So this is real world stuff that I think you need to pay attention to, take some notes, and maybe some action, because this is what's happening. And if you're not prepared, it's not going to work out well. So anyway, I'll turn it over to you, and we'll chat through just emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence, but what you're seeing in the industry as you're trying to leverage it and integrate. And this isn't an anti-AI episode, right?
No, not at all.
It's just, we just need to know what's going on, the fear it might be causing, how it can backfire.
Sure.
But I'll shut up. So yeah, just tell me what you found interesting about it, and kind of summarize it, and then we can talk about some specific notes and data points in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll start by saying, the promise of AI is still optimistically, I think, really, really encouraging for the human race. I think the environment under which we are transitioning its use into our normal workflows is not unlike any change a lot of companies, organizations, or a race or a human race would go through. In fact, I might even say this is like an industrial revolution of its own.
100%.
That significant.
She compared it to the gold rush.
She did. She compared it to the gold rush, which I didn't know much about it till I read.
I was around for the gold rush.
Well, yeah, sure. 1864.
Back, that was a prime time of my life, back in the 1860s. Something.
Young buck coming up.
Yeah, that's right, coming up, fishing for gold. Yeah.
But I read the article, and it just made it so clear for me, because when you're in a race, in a prior episode we were talking about being in a race, physically.
DECA race, yeah.
When you're in a race, it's all about completing tunnel vision, right? And the difference here, though, is I don't know of anyone who's really defined, no fault of anyone. I don't know if you could. What does the end state look like? What are we racing toward? What is winning in AI even look like? And I think all of our organizations, regardless of the level you're at, they're all asking the same question. And I wouldn't say anyone has a super clear answer. So then when I think about moments like that where there is no real answer, and if you're in tech, the tech level we're in is specific to an industry, construction, that has historically adopted technology at a far slower pace. So in a way, I almost see that's governed our, urgency, race, franticness a little bit, because we have to pace ourselves to bring our industry along. We're pushing it, but we also have to make sure that they're bought in and they're coming along with us. I think when you think about like some of the big four, the ones that are really driving, the companies that came out of nowhere to create these chatbots, their pace has to be insane. And the people working in those environments, I can't imagine as challenging as it can be for us. Not only for our product that has to have AI inserted into it at a rapid pace, but our own internal use of it. That's both happening at the same time. That's never happened. We're not just pushing a product to get more AI in it and release it faster. We are doing that. And we're trying to make sure everybody else is optimizing their workflows and their productivity using these tools that nobody's had any experience with prior
and they
to
don't know how to
ago.
use them.
And
And that's what, the main thing I want to talk about in this episode, and we're going to touch on a lot of it, is everything I talk about always just comes back to the human, the person in these environments. I don't care if you're the CEO to day one. I don't care if you work for a tech company or whatever. It's just back to the human brains and the reality of the situation of what we can and can't do as a species, right, in this world. And I say all the time, the biggest challenge with mental health in our country is just the simple fact that our brains have not evolved remotely at the rate society and technology has.
Right.
So that's the first problem. But the bigger problem is us people, the humans, feel like it should. I should be able to just manage everything and integrate technology and 10x my productivity and still be a good mom and a dad and take care of my kids and have a perfect body. So it's just this bullshit, unrealistic world that we exist in. And what I want to dive into is again, people are always the ones that are going to be moving your company forward. The ones coming up, you're always going to have some humans, right? But what I've seen in the business I'm in, which is human performance and mental fitness, is there's this critical point that I think is happening back to, like you said, the Industrial Revolution. There's these moments in time where there's just change that just comes about us that we're not prepared for, we're not ready for. And what I've seen in the last really 6-7 years now is with COVID, right? We saw COVID, and we're just now scratching the surface on the implications of how COVID really screwed people up from a mental health perspective, with the loneliness and the disconnectedness and the remote work and all the things that it did. So that, and the fear will come back. Fear is going to be a big thing. The fear that was shoved in everybody's face and throat for COVID. So that screwed people up. And so we're seeing a lot of people that are just now really starting to suffer and struggle as a result of that. Now you throw on this new AI world, right? Where everybody out there is now afraid. They should use the term AI anxiety. Is AI coming for my job? Is it going to replace me? Is it going to overtake what I do? And so there's this fear of COVID where people were petrified. Now there's this fear of anxiety. And then what also is happening is individual people are trying to leverage and utilize these tools to make them more productive, or, everybody's about productivity. You got to be more, which is such a bullshit kind of, this hyper productivity mindset. Busyness is a badge of honor.
Right.
It's not making us more productive. No. It's actually causing more rework and more claims and incidents and accidents. But what it's also doing, and I think this is where, with leadership, what AI and ChatGPT does is it creates what's called an illusion of competency. An illusion of competency. People think, because I can write a decent prompt and I can regurgitate some AI, that I'm now a subject matter expert.
Sure.
Or I know how to actually do or say this thing. And so I just say all that not to be throwing shade on, just because I still love AI and it's a great tool if you can use it strategically. But back to the people that are in these environments working, and the burnout and the stress and the anxiety and the fear that is crippling them is not going to make them a productive worker, and the reduction in forces. And so it's just this, I just keep seeing people getting hammered with more shit that's just making it hard for them to just get up, show up, go about my day with some confidence, some happiness, feel like I've got a secure job that I'm contributing to. Everybody's just waiting for the thing to drop. And that is not going to increase your bottom line. That's not going to maximize productivity. So I'll shut up because I got on a little rant. But that's, you're a person that is in that space of probably getting asked to research and leverage AIs to
100%.
make things more, So talk to me, more about what you're seeing, feeling, experiencing, good and
absolutely.
bad.
Absolutely. So, we've been enabled with tools. Again, blessed to be at a company that's embracing this and has the means, because AI tools are not cheap.
Sure,
It
especially
used
at
to
scale.
be that you buy software and then you own that software and then you buy the next CD, right? Then it became subscription based. You just renew every year. Now it's that, and you're buying tokens. So there's a whole new business model that's just came out of nowhere with the way that I think AI operates. So it is a large investment. So I'm, again, blessed that our company's given us the tools to even play around. early stages, yeah, we were all kind of chipping away at it. What is this thing really about? You see some cool wins from it. You actually get empowered. You feel sort of superhuman a little bit, and that's absolutely how I started to get. But then the messages come down over and over and over and over again. Optimize, improve. Look at your not tasks, but your end-to-end workflow. See how from here to end state you could be optimizing using AI. Now, and then it's just not AI; it's agentic AI. Developing and building agents that actually do the work for you, prompted or unprompted. Whoa! Now we're talking about little, fake
people,
yeah. Really, that live in a digital world. They don't physically. It's not a humanoid, but literally doing tasks for you. So the opportunities, as I've seen it, and again, I think this is a mental framing I've chosen to perceive it. I've never really seen AI, or at least I haven't chosen to see it as something that's going to take my job. I've seen it as something that's just made me way more productive, possibly even challenging my long, steady ways of producing work. A cautionary tale, though, is what you were sort of sharing here, is that time I get back from being more optimal, being able to produce more, am I investing that more into more AI-related tasks or just doing more work? Or am I allowing that to maybe come back to my health in all the different ways that we talked about it? And I think that's really that moment that you're driving all leaders to sort of think about, is pause and think about how you're spending your time. Yeah, it's gained an immense amount of productivity, whether through hard pain or great organizational structure. It's still gaining, even if done sort of poorly. It's unbelievable what it's been able to do in a short amount of time. But what I'm saying is, what you do with this time is important. This time you get back. This I don't have to spend 3 weeks on this project. I can do it in 3 hours. I can tell an agent to go do it for me. Am I investing that time in something meaningful to me that brings me a more harmonious balance? That's really the question I've started to ask myself. Am I staying up all night, seeing what I can crank out with AI just because I'm curious?
Right.
I've had a few nights like that.
Yeah, right.
Where I'm just not, I can't pull away because I'm like, look at what all I can do.
And that's where, again, I think that it's this like an unintended consequence, because again, AI can help tremendously
100%.
and it can make things smoother and faster and more productive, but at what cost? Because I know the reality of what is happening is once you optimize something, and you see what it can do, it's like a drug. It's like
a little bit.
Right. And I mean, it's literally the only industry that calls their clients users is the drug industry and the tech industry.
Well.
That's the only two that call their clients users, right?
Yes.
The drug
Yeah.
industry and the tech industry. And it's because we as humans are, and especially in the country and the world we live in, is just like, I place my value on how much I can produce. And I'm tied to that, and that's my identity. And man, you're making me, I can do 10x my product, which again, I don't know what you need to 10x your productivity. Like, how about, we focus on one or two things? And so it's just this, it's learning. There's a couple different levels of where I think we need to talk about, like, how AI and the integration can help or hurt,
Sure.
And I think from a leadership where it's, okay, I want to come in, use these tools, optimize them. I can get this project that would take 3 weeks done in 3 hours. That's great. But who did that cut out, right? What jobs or what people now are just pushed to the side like they don't matter, And so it's like this ripple effect. And then is that worth that? Now are these people, coming back and suing me or quitting or, so it's like understanding this, because I think the speed at which it's moving and the excitement of its capabilities and what it can do, makes us miss what it actually does.
True.
From a humanistic, and so it's just, and then to your point too, that's what I would encourage a lot of leaders, because I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I'm an entrepreneur trying to grow a business. I like to leverage Claude and chat to help me think about ways, but I also can catch myself getting enticed, and what it does for me too is it just, I'm already an idea guy and I got a thousand things that and it just creates, it's like pouring, it's like crack. Yeah.
Yep.
And now I get almost like analysis by paralysis, because there's so much I can do that I
Sure.
just don't do what's in front of me. I don't do that one thing I was supposed to do today because I was over here ideating on how I can make. And so it's just this, again, it's like you've been given this magical gift that can, but we're not, as our brains is, when our brain is not ready for that,
No.
you know, to process and think and grasp and understand. And so I just see it, you know, like I said, it's just having the awareness, and that's what I hope people get out of this as we talk. It's just like, it's coming, it's there. How do I give myself some space and grace, not feel like I have to chew off, you know, integrate 10 new things this week, maybe one, and let's let it run, and, you know.
There's a lot of, well, the principles that have always been true about organizational health, individual mental well-being, and producing or doing your best work in a state, and I know we didn't really talk about this a whole lot, but flow state.
Flow state,
There is a place where you are just optimally
the human's
doing-
optimized.
the human is
I'd rather the human be optimized than the
Right.
AI.
Right, and so that coupled with a tool that is infinite possibilities, at least, I mean, nobody really knows where this will end, could be fundamentally great in so many different fields and industries. I'm seeing it in construction, I'm seeing it in technology, but if we're not remembering, we already learned these lessons at a different pace. Okay, Industrial Revolution took 100 years. This is taking, I don't know, what are we in?
Yeah.
This time scale is ridiculously compressed. This is daily changes. This is hourly updates. I mean, the same tool, AI related, I used, I don't know, 2 months ago has already fundamentally improved from 2 months ago. I mean, our product teams are cranking out updates and changes like never before. But when we think about the people that's going to make that happen, under what conditions are we placing them to produce their best work, and having an undefined winning the AI race does risk that runaway. It's the analogy I like. If you ever read about this before, you know, wherever there's a lot of fog and you're driving, you can't see. I mean, your visibility is maybe even 10 feet in front of you. Whether or not you realize it, you go faster and faster and faster because your brain is saying, get through to the other side so you can see what's out there. And a couple of bad examples of terrible pileups on highways where fog just kind of descended. I see it like that to me. It's like you're in this car in a fog and you're just trying to get through it as fast as you can, but you don't realize how fast you're going. Heaven forbid you have a pileup,
Right.
or you get into a wreck.
Right.
But that's just it. What if that fog never ends?
Yeah.
Where is your center? What are you basing your decisions on? I think that's where we're all in this space where if you feel all of these feelings, the anxiety, that is your warning. That is your heads up to go, okay, wait a minute. What am I rooting this in? Customer value, values that my employee base believe in, my own personal values and belief systems. That's what drive me, right? Not winning a race nobody's really defined.
Right.
But we do have to play in it.
Right.
Let's do it the reasonable way. And I bet you those are the companies, or those are the, and this article actually alludes to this pretty strongly, that it's probably going to be those companies that come out the most stable, the
Right.
ones that have said, you know what, we're in this race, but we're going to run this race sustainably.
Right. And that's to your point, always bringing it back to the because I get to work in with all the people in these
Right.
organizations, and I get to see the blowback and the stress and that comes from this just uncertainty, you know. And I always say one of my things is there's two things people hate. One is the way things are, and the second is change. Right? I hate the way things are, but I hate change even more, and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that's what the AI integration and the constant change. I mean, because you can see teams, it's like, okay, hey team, we're going to integrate this new AI tool that's going to help us be 1,000 times more productive and efficient. And here's how it works, and let's go get it. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And they're trying to learn it and figure it out. But with this underlying worry of, am I using this thing that's working me out of a job, right? Am I optimizing a tool that is eventually going to just make me obsolete? So there's that underlying kind of fear there. And then that AI updates or changes. And now I got to learn something. And that's what, like you said, there's no end. It's like the fog of war, right? Everybody's just kind of showing up, and it's like, okay, I was hired to do this, and this was kind of, now I'm getting these things that are, I like them. They do seem like they're making, but I just have this underlying uncertainty and fear. And it's again, it's, I think, the leaders that are understanding, okay, let's move a little slower. Let's not take all 30 options in right now.
Sure.
And just dump them out there on people, and let's be a little more intentional, a little more deliberate. But at the same time, and this is why, having mental fitness and emotional intelligence training coupled with that integration and transition is going to help the people be more, in flow state, so that they can either leverage the tools better, still show up with like some hope and some optimism,
Totally.
and you're going to get much more, out of whatever out of it means, whether it's more productivity or sales or whatever, that's what they're trying to leverage it for.
Sure.
So it's just this and it's kind of counterintuitive, but I talked about it, and I think our last episode, but it's the highest performing teams and organizations, the ones that are going to dominate the future, are the ones that learn how to slow down. Slow down, pump the brakes, right? And that's hard to do when you've got all these carrots dangling out there that can make you so much faster, bigger, stronger. And like you said, we don't know we don't know what people grab it and they throw it out there and they don't know what it's doing, and so it's just slow down,
right?
Breathe,
right.
Give your people some opportunities to just breathe, because everybody's just spinning out,
So the business imperative of using AI is clear. You're going to have to. You're going to have to embrace it. You're going to have to figure out how to make it a part of the fabric of how you do work. We're in the transitional phase of going from not having it to having it. So I think regardless of what anyone says about, and I'm not saying slow down isn't the right answer, it is. They're going to have to understand what is being slowed down. What about slowing down is giving you space and grace to say, okay, well, AI use in this direction is good for us. Organizational health and building the right kind of culture for AI use over here, that's good for us. We needed some of that space and slow down to do that.
Right.
That is going to be every company's individual decision, and that's going to be every employee at those companies' conversation with themselves to say, hey, let's say I am working myself out, or I believe thoroughly that I'm working myself out of a job by using AI. Well, okay, let's say that happens. What are you going to do after? Are you going to just be out of the business altogether? Are you going to try to find another role? You're going to want to root yourself in something that has meaning to you. The use of AI is not going to give you meaning. Being really, really good at it, just like a technology,
right?
It isn't what defines you. So in those moments where I feel like I'm reaching, and I've been there, gosh, so many times over the last few years, I just come back to, well, wait, what are my values? What do I stand for? What matters to me? Who put me on this earth to do something? That's what I need to go search and look for. And then the environment of the moment won't be driving control of me as much as I will be embracing and being able to live through it meaningfully.
Right. And that's, I think, is a good kind of transition to talk about what, ultimately, and the main reason I do this podcast and I have this company is just helping people, human beings, get back to just being human.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the biggest challenge. And I talk about this disconnect and this pace is we're moving out of human beings into becoming human doing. And when you're a human doing, you lose your essence, my purpose. We're still humans, and I talk about,
Can't change that.
EI is greater than AI. Emotional intelligence is always going to be greater than artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
And humans are humans, and we've got soul, and we've got purpose, and we've got life. And so a couple things that I'm seeing that the AI challenge that is, one, in an organization, all humans have our basic needs, right? Food, water, shelter. Every human, that's what we need.
Right.
But every human being on planet Earth has one basic want, and it is we want to feel like we matter. That's all human wants. I just want to feel like I matter.
Yeah.
And these tools and technique, they're making people in your company feel like they don't matter. And that's an exhausting, frustrating place for people to be. And so you just have to understand that as leaders and make sure you're doing something. Yeah, you can bring the tools in and do it, but make sure you're doing things to help your people feel like they matter along the way. Because that's just important. You should be doing that just because you're a good person. If not, and you're just some cutthroat piece of shit that just doesn't care about anybody, and there's plenty of people out there, go for it, right?
Yeah,
you're not my kind of people, but that's okay,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But for people that do genuinely care about themselves and others, like there is going to be a little bit of a balance. But one, and then I'll kind of shut up, but I just want to help people understand it's like we as humans, if people want to have that, life is not a race to the end,
Right.
you know, and that's what's going to happen.
Journey.
It's about the journey and slowing down and being present. And this world we're living in with these tools and this more productivity and people being plugged in, what's happening, and I'm seeing it, is again, you know, people are becoming so dependent on it that they're losing their ability to even create a thought.
Sure.
You know, I was meeting with somebody that was a fairly high, and they told me, they're like, I can't even send an email now without Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good. That's not like a good sign that you can't sit there and formulate a thought to another person. I have to run it through a chat bot, take that, copy it and paste it and put it out there. And so from a neurological standpoint, we are devolving because we're losing our ability to think critically, to formulate any thought, you know. And so I don't think it's, you know, I don't think that's good. You know, especially as a father with young kids, like we have to keep that capacity for, that's why you're not seeing stoics or people kind of just, so
yeah.
Again, people feel like they don't matter. They're losing their ability to have independent thought. And their life is passing them by and they're missing it. And all in the name of productivity.
Yeah. And let's you know, coming back to business imperative, let's say we're on the other side of whatever current transition we're in with AI use is becoming a part of everything we do. What will breed connection to other humans? We're still driving the economy. We're still driving decision making. We're still building the buildings. If you come back to, you know, construction, which is my world, you know, what is authentic in that AI can't really replace, which is the human connection. And in my specific role, I do a lot of in-person engagement. We're all about meeting our customers where they are. That is done in person. One of the things I've always said and just experienced personally is that if you want to build connection and relationship, you have to work at it, and it has to be genuine and it has to be authentic. And then vulnerability for sure is a way of lowering down your barrier and letting somebody in, hoping they do the same and, you know, they reciprocate. Well, what's one of the best ways to do that? In person. You can't outsource that to AI, and you never will.
But people are trying.
They're trying.
You know what I'm saying? They're trying.
Like when we come out on this other side and when we're all really realizing the only thing true and real is my ability to connect with another human, we're going to find the one place that can't be done, or one of the few places, I'm sure there's going to be others, is really in person. Like the digital world is going to just be overridden by AI everything.
Right. And that's where I you know, I was saying, and I talk about it, you know, be real in an all fake world. Because the most valuable commodity that you're going to see out there in the next 10 years is going to be authenticity.
Absolutely.
You know, and because humans are humans.
Sure.
We are emotional. We're meant to connect. It's limbic resonance. That's how we exist. We always will. And I love technology, but until we all are turned into robots, you know, that's just, you know, this is the way it is. And so I think that the leaders that understand and can be vulnerable, you know, and again, there's nothing worse than going out there and faking it, you know, because people can, yes, you see right through that, and it totally discredits you. Nobody trusts you. But it's just having this ability to kind of have that balance for our own self, of just like, how do I find connection? How do I find that vulnerability, that authenticity? And then I was talking about it with my kids who are young, and they're already kind of like, AI's not cool to them because they just know that everything's fake.
Yeah.
And I was saying it earlier, like we're going to get to a point where, you know, people are going to be like, I do not trust unless I can see it, touch it, feel it. If it's on a screen, I don't trust it. The person, it's a fake avatar. I can't believe it. You know, I mean, whether it's politicians or we're just basically going to be at a point where they're going to be like, we just got to pull the plug because it's just shit, slop, fake, you know, out there. And you already see it all over social media, you know, and it's just this like, you know, how do we use it as a tool, like to maybe help with some things, right? And again, I'm not an anti-AI. It's just this, I want people to be able to protect their mental health and their own personal happiness as you navigate this world, whether you're a leader or 20-year-old, you know, because that's the most important thing, you know. and we are humans, and I will talk about it, but I say one of the things, I mean, my Sethisms and stuff, but I believe modern problems can only be solved with ancient solutions.
Yeah.
And learning how to get back to just being and having a power I can tap into, having, emotion, energy and motion. We're emotional creatures and beings. Right. And I think we're just living in a world now where we're robbing ourselves of that. And we say, the loneliness epidemic. This is the most connected and the most socially connected we've ever been in human history, but there's a loneliness epidemic.
I think AI, just like any technology, can be leveraged to give us back time, to connect, to build relationships. If you could if you think about it, I think I've read a couple of articles Elon Musk mentioned, at some point, everyone will be, he's thinking, I think it's a little utopian in a way, but like everybody will have more time to just enjoy being, because so many of the things that we work toward can be outsourced to AI in a way. Now, I'm of the camp that I think work and struggle and doing something that's hard actually is one of the meaningful ways that we live our lives, because we're shaped by it.
Sure.
So I don't want to say like, hey, you can live on a couch and your life will be meaningful because AI is doing all the work. I'm not saying that.
No.
But I think when we're thinking intentionally about the time we're saving, the optimization of the tasks that really didn't serve us, really weren't helping us grow. They were just, it's part of the job. Even though that might build resilience for us and tenacity to just power through, I think that now's the time to think about, on the other end of this, where do you want to be in how you spend your time, how you've changed for the better, how you've connected.
I'll walk through a couple of scenarios to that and get your take on because this is what I would love to see. Okay, so let's imagine it's 5 years down the road. Because your point is the two most valuable resources we have is our time and attention as a human, right? So let's just say a company, 1,000-person company or whatever it is, learns how to utilize AI. They find some good tools that increase productivity and performance by freeing up the time of their people. So now they say, okay, 1,000 employees, you only have to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
You got the rest of the week off. So you can go. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you. If they were to realize that they've become the company was able to realize they're more productive because this AI has made, things, freed up so much time. Do you think a company's going to say, oh man, now you guys only have to work 2 days a week. Go spend the rest of the time with your family and focusing on yourself. Or do we think they're going to say, we can make them, we can do more, right? So I get what, I would love for a company to be the one that's we figured out how to leverage AI and get stuff done, 5 times faster. So now people only have to work 20 hours a week instead of 40, and they can commit to their hobbies and their family and their health. That would be great. And that to me would be a win.
Yeah.
Right? But one, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No, I don't either.
I think they're going to say, well, we can make them even so now, and this is where I come back to the reality of what is going to happen, is we figured out a way to optimize your job. So now we're going to give you more things that you need to do so you can 10x, or we're just going to reduce force by 30%.
And in either scenario, what are you going to do? Can you say right now...
When you say you, if you're that person,
yeah, you're working at an unbelievable pace that you've never experienced before right now. You've gained 2 days back out of a week to then do more. At what point do you know your optimal limit as a human working under those conditions and saying, I've put checks and balances on my own. I still produce. I still get joy and meaning out of my work. I'm able to produce and do more than I've ever done before. And that can that can provide a lot of meaning to that, to you, to the industry you serve, whatever, to your family. I mean, let's just talk about it that way. The well-being, the ability to provide for your family, I mean, that's rewarding. That means a lot. But if every 5 years we are tripling your capacity, same human, better tools, there is no end to that. It just keeps going and going and going. What are you rooting your time into? So I would just say, we've sort of landed on 40-hour work weeks. Maybe there will be companies that say, I see more optimization in 30-hour work weeks, and that's going to be their right to do it. And I think those companies decide that the culture they've chosen is balance, harmony. There are going to be companies that say, you want to win, want to win the race that's unwinnable, basically.
Right.
We work 50, 60 hours a week, and we're going to produce more than anybody else. We're all going to be billionaires. If that's your goal, I think there's probably a world for those folks too.
Sure.
Don't let it happen to you. Think about what kind of race do you want to want to run.
Yeah.
There's no end to this.
Yeah.
I think that anybody can predict, but I think your reality check, what is really going to happen. Yeah, it's probably more we've saved 2 days. All right, well, we do 2 days more worth of work now.
We can, and that's where I think, and I've seen a lot of great companies out there that are doing things, right? And so it's not like, oh, everybody's just evil empire. They're just using AI to take away our jobs and make us. Yeah, there's some of that, but I've been fortunate to attend a lot of workplace wellness summits and go to meetings with some of the biggest names in the business out there that are trying to come up with creative ways, because you're seeing this in our country especially. You're starting to see this, like, and COVID was the thing that I think really kicked it off. Is we've always been like a hyper performance, hyper productivity, capitalistic country, right? Which is great. And we've always been expecting people to work harder, longer, faster.
Yes.
That's just what our country's kind of built itself and prided itself on.
Right.
And there's some good that can come of that, But I think when COVID hit but again, before COVID, mental health was always pretty bad around here, it just was. And we can save that for a whole nother episode as to why, but it just was. But then COVID, I think, magnified a lot of what we weren't doing good, and we got to see, it shook everybody enough to say, okay, maybe we do need to think differently about how we take care of our people, or benefits or whatever, because people do, for the most part, give a shit.
Yeah.
And they really do care about their people and their health, and
absolutely,
there's always going to be the bottom line people that don't. But what I've seen over the last couple of years, and it's where it's this, like, I'm seeing this constant push and pull of what I should do, what I could do. Is that good? Is that bad? What's the cost for this, with all this advances in technology and things that are happening in a time where a lot of companies have been trying to come up with creative ways to encourage their people to focus more on yourself. So I'm seeing some companies that are like, employees get penalized in their performance review if they don't take their time off.
Yeah.
If you get to the end of the year and we're doing your performance review, there's companies that are doing this, and you didn't take your vacation time, you didn't take, because they're like, take it.
Yeah, you need,
or, like, I think it was Google was one of them that created that, 20% of the work week was dedicated to just thinking about whatever you want.
I love that.
So, and that's a way that they just said, hey, on one day a week, you just ideate. I don't care what you do. Go out in nature, go meditate. And that's where some of the best business ideas have come from. Giving people that time to just say, just go be you and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's some other companies I've seen, one of them where basically they shut down for a month in the summer. So it's like, in June 1st to July 1st, we're closed, and when you come, and there's no emails being sent, you're not going to come back July 1st to nobody's doing anything. And it's like this month to just reset, recalibrate. And so you're seeing, that's where I'm saying I'm seeing this kind of like challenge where it's people are trying, but then here comes the AI, and it's like, oh wow. And it's a transitional phase. We'll get through it.
We're in that transition. It's the messy middle. I'm again another fortunate company to have those kinds of breaks, intentional, culturally supported, managerially supported from the top down, and it's on me. It's incumbent on me to actually take advantage, because I am not one of those people that like to take days off.
You feel guilty.
I want to be a part of it. I like work. I'm not a workaholic, I would say, but I love the challenge of work. I love the fact that we're challenged with a lot of things right now. But you know what? I might also have forgotten, and I have a bias that I have been fortunately trained, fortunately given a lot of tools
that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and I need to remember, look outside of myself and go, wow, okay, we need to help each other out here. This is the moment to say, it's crazy for all of us. Let's help each other find a way to navigate these difficult waters and embrace the great parts of what it's going to do for us, which I think is, wow, who knows?
Yeah.
Some amazing things.
Yeah, and seeing it, you've been trained to perceive it as an opportunity.
Right.
And I think you said something that was key there, most people perceive it as a threat.
Yeah.
Well,
we're wired to be
right, and they haven't had My Steady Mind training.
That's right.
They haven't had the training.
Take the training.
Yeah, that's right. So take the training, and you'll have a better perception of...
It's training.
It really is training, and It is, and even me, like I'm a, I like advances in technology. I like making things more efficient, and I'm all for it. It's just understanding like we have to be kind of cautious, especially as leaders, right? That could be you've got pressure coming from certain things, the expectations that you need to do and get more out of your people and do X, Y, Z, and it's just as long as if I'm a leader out there, whether I'm running a company or kind of mid-level or whatever, it's I love how you keep bringing it back to me. I, Chandler, Seth. I have to be the one that can say, let me just personally think through, okay, like how this is coming, how I can convey it or communicate it to my people without it just being like, hey, take this, do that.
Yeah.
Right? And shoving it on them and then beating them up because they don't know what they're doing. And it's just this, that's why, again, mental fitness training is so important for leaders.
Right.
And that's what I'm part of what we're saying is if you're a company or an organization out there that's in the process of trying to leverage these technologies while also still supporting your people.
Sure.
It's a balance.
It's absolutely.
It's a balance, and because a lot of our, it's just people don't work well out of fear.
Well, no, right?
If they're showing up to work in sympathetic state, they're not going to be
decisions are not being
you
made.
Can't think. She talks about it in the article there. Just you got cognitive overload. You're in sympathetic state. You're in fight or flight, and it's hard for me to sit down and respond to emails.
No.
Or think through a process, whether it's an AI process or a work process, and so that's the big thing. Is just I see fear all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's showing up in people's personal life, professional life. And that's a shitty way to live.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's a shitty way to live.
It's tough, yeah.
And so learning how to bring in some of this stuff, this, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, gratitude, right?
Big time.
For your own self,
yeah.
I'm
grateful for indoor plumbing. I'm grateful for being close to a beach.
Yeah.
Simple stuff like you said. I'm grateful to breathe clean air now.
Yeah.
That's a whole, those are things that 100 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Couldn't
and
have
that's like if you are a person out there and you're heading into work and you're pissed off, if you're anxious, and we know we can't change the company and the environment, but like how can you just sit in your car before you go in the office and be like, I'm grateful I have a job for now.
Amen.
I'm grateful I've got a car to drive in.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that the sun is shining. And it might just be the thing that's like puts that on your mind. All right, let me go in and enter this chaotic, ever-changing environment with a little hope.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time I'm a hope dealer.
Yes, there you go.
Because people out there are losing hope.
There's plenty out there. You just got to reframe your perspective to see it.
Yeah.
And you will see it. And boy, there's the ammunition you need to make it through these turbulent times, and come out swinging after. Honestly, happy that you went through it, and hopefully better on the other end.
Was there any? We'll kind of start to wrap up, but I know you had a chance to talk with. We're referencing this article on here and kind of talking about. I think she'd said something like, was it like how leaders are using AI wrong? What were just kind of 2 or 3 takeaways that you've had in conversations with her and the article that you could like share with any leaders out there that are kind of in this space of exploring. Utilizing AI or playing around or trying things out, that you would just say like, here's maybe 1 or 2 things that you probably want to be cautious of, and here's 1 or 2 things that I think you might be able to.
Yeah, one of the things, and again, this is 100% referenceable in Amy's article, where it just landed so strongly for me that when you're a leader and you're making decisions and you need to make them fast, just like decisions in a fear state, they are very reactive, and you're probably making them, you're pulling them back closer to you. You're not passing information down as much. You're not inviting other parts of your organization to pressure test your assumptions, push and pull and prod and really say, is this right? Is this right? Because you're in a space, if you're curious, you're going to ask those questions. If you're in a state of fear, you're like, it has to be right because I got to get it out the door tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
So one of the cautionary tales is, do you really? Where are you in that state to make a decision about a strategy change? One of the examples she gave was the strategy was changing at some of these companies every 6 weeks. How in the world do you make meaningful changes below the top line to actually produce and see the results of that strategy come to life before it gets changed again? And I think the terrible worst case scenario is that happened 3 times and the person ultimately got laid off. that is a reality right now some people are facing. So I don't want to throw that to the side that it's not happening. It is. It absolutely is, and that's unfortunate. But organizations that are recognizing where they are in this experience, the slowdown is a good one. The consider how much of your organization are you bringing into the decisions you're making. Great insight that she gave in the article. And the second is organizational health is just as important as it was before AI.
Right.
If you're going to scale and distribute and expect the work to get done, you still have to make sure you have a cohesive, well-oiled, harmonious machine that is your people. And I say machine, a human.
And she
machine.
referenced in there psychological safety. That's
a part of it.
That's a part of it, and it's part of the main thing. The best organizations are understanding, and we were talking about it before we got on air. Is the best organizations what they're trying to mitigate? And NASA does a great job of this, and who I've been fortunate to work with for several years, but. They understand, right? What you're trying to reduce is for productivity, performance, risk mitigation. You're trying to reduce organizational stress.
There you go.
Right? So every company out there, whether you got 5 people or 5,000 people, there's a certain level of just organizational stress that exists as a result of everything, And so the best forward-thinking companies are aware that there's this organizational stress that can be like a pressure cooker. And one of the things what you're trying to do to mitigate that is minimize what we call attentional drift. Attentional drift. Because a brain is a brain, and people are coming into work, and they got their energy and their thoughts are all over the place. And now that might be something that AI can mitigate against, right? There's things that affect people. Decision fatigue is a massive thing. It's all energy, right? And so I think it's just, like you said, we don't know the answers. We don't know how to figure it out. We don't know how to solve it. But the best leaders are the ones that are just kind of, maybe they go on a retreat or something for like 3 days, just by yourself, no phone, no technology, and just say, all right, hey team, like let's try to gauge the organizational stress. Have we been compounding it by shoving things down people's throats? And then what are ways we can start to integrate training and techniques to we call them tactical pauses. How can you create a tactical pause within the battle rhythm of your organization that just takes a little bit of that stress off, like we talked about the arrival time in a meeting. That's one of the things NASA does. If you show up to a meeting, the meeting is at 12. It doesn't just come in and we start the agenda and everybody's wrapping up calls and we're trying to kick off a meeting while we're finishing my last meeting. And so what they've done is arrival time means the first 60 seconds of every meeting is dedicated to giving people in the room time to just arrive. So that means just breathe, pray, meditate, but you're giving people that space to just say, I don't know where you just came from or what meeting or maybe a shitty phone call with your husband or whatever, but we're at 12, okay? You got 60 seconds and everybody in the room just kind of, and then at 12:01, now we go.
Yeah.
And so that's just a simple technique that you can integrate that can start to mitigate all this chaos. And it's amazing from a human perspective when you get people in a room, especially physically in a room, and you give them 60 seconds to just collectively breathe, you're creating what's called energetic coherence. Literally, we're vibrating on the same frequency now.
I love that.
And that's what the best teams, professional athletes and military, they do they're meditating in the locker room. They're doing breath work on the bench. And that's how you create badass, optimum performing teams. And that's where mental fitness is, that's what we say, like, it's not pour more safety training down their throat and more, it's give them space organizationally and permission to hit that pause, but they got to know what to do, and that's where the training comes in. But this is a way for now that we can try to alleviate as we figure it out.
If I had a third thing, which I think actually what you just described would allow you to do this, this experience is is happening at every level in an organization. Your leaders, where you are at your level, and your people under you, wherever you are, they are all experiencing it at the same time. So it's really important to remember to be empathetic in this moment. It isn't that they've figured it out and they're just throwing all the pain stuff to you. No, they are absolutely going through for the first time. No leader has gone through this before. I don't have the statistics that prove what I'm saying other than to say, have we ever had AI before? Not like this. So this is an unprecedented experience. Giving that space to not only just reset yourself and get on the same resonance level as your peers.
Wavelength,
and
literally.
The wavelength, yeah. Also gives you that openness to go, oh, we're all experiencing this too.
Right.
No matter if you're the CEO or the frontline, worker.
Yeah.
We're all experiencing some version of this at the same time. That in some ways almost breaks the fear to say that we actually are in this together.
Yeah.
We are experiencing this together. There's a connection now that's happening.
And I love, because that's what I was saying, trying to maybe say earlier, is because that's what I get to see as people, like you said, whether you're a day one employee or even all the way up to like the CEO, everybody's struggling with the same thing right now.
Absolutely.
We're struggling with, overwhelm and burnout and worry and fear and trying to manage, but the person feels like it's just me.
Absolutely.
That person they could be Stacy in accounting, or John in marketing or whatever. They're until you give everybody an opportunity to come together. And this is where great leaders, we said it earlier, your vulnerability is your credibility.
100%.
And when that leader can just come in and say, hey, everybody, we're just going to take 60 seconds because I'm burning out right now. I'm exhausted. And let's just, and you give them that permission. And then they're like, what, Chandler? Chandler's feeling stressed and burned out? Like, I thought he was bulletproof and that, and so that's the most, I know, right? But that's what, your vulnerability is your credibility. You can't just sit up on this arch and perform, use this AI. I mean, you can, but you're not going to get shit out of your people, and what you do get is going to be shit.
And one final thought on AI around everybody feels like it's happening just to them. One of the byproducts of pushing a product to a group without really giving them the training, because it doesn't exist, honestly, is that they are experiencing and developing it in their own silo. There isn't a natural... there's not a natural moment to share that across. And it's one of those things that good leaders, you have to implement the requirement. You have to say, what did you learn about AI? So talk about a product. Gyms. How many gyms have you made? Let's share those with each other. Oh, duh. And, it's like, why did we forget that that's share best practices? All of a sudden AI felt like this silo race you were all running by yourself. No, it's just like anything. Mm-hmm. That's another one that I think is interesting about AI right now. It's like we worked on it in a silo, but we're all experiencing the same things. Oh, well then let's share about it. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's just create a environment where that's just a part of our normal day check-in. Hey, what did you guys optimize with AI today? Well, what did you find it didn't do well for you? Well, there's a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Cool. We've got that shared experience now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yeah. And I think that, kind of we'll start to wrap up on that, but it's finding a way to balance out that humanity of it, of our corporation. Remember that we're still people coming to work, wanting to do good, wanting to help, and there is a way that we can integrate and leverage tools and technology to help people become more efficient. But I love what you said, like we still have to have that authenticity, that connectivity where we can just come together in a meeting and just talk and share what was working, what's not, and give people permission, because you're going to find some valuable information if you give them, unfiltered opportunities to just share. You're optimizing kind of how you optimize as a leader, but it lets people know, like, you're not alone in this. We know it's new and change can be scary and fearful, and if we can't give them a chance to talk about it and share, it just makes it that much scarier, and then they feel alone in that world. And that's the last thing you want, is 1,000 individuals that are scared, that feel like they're alone. You're not going to get a lot out of that.
Nope.
And so great stuff, always awesome talking. I think
this is really great. Yeah, I appreciate it. This is a really fun conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you're doing and your experience. I think it's just so timely with the world we're living in, and it is. How do we balance artificial intelligence with emotional intelligence? And I think it has to be done together.
Yes.
And treat people with respect. Just communicate open and honestly. Try things out. Because I'm an optimist. I think the future is bright. Me too. But we're going through a seasonal change right now, where we're still using these old antiquated brains in a time where things around us are revolving too rapidly. And so just knowing you're not alone in it. So if you're out there and you feel like you're struggling, or you're, everybody, myself included. So take that breath. Leaders, learn how to pause, share, and move a little slower. That's okay.
It's okay.
So. All right. Well, we want to give you something. We give all of our guests here, at the end, we give them a little treat, So I think Chelsea will bring that up here in a minute,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
it's been awesome having you on. And
thank you.
So we'll bring over a little painting here. We have a local artist that commissioned some personal pieces for our guests, and so she whipped that up for you since we're a Space Coast company, and so it's a little Space Coast astronaut with some construction gear there, and we know you're a man of faith. It's kind of got a little angelic, look to it and vibrancy, and so
wow, that's super cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we always want to do that. Yeah, so hang that up, and hopefully it'll remind you of what we're working on, and being here on the Space Coast, and a lot of this stuff is going on around here with these companies that have a lot happening, and so, but yeah, hang that up on your wall. It's got the BAMO badge, which maybe we need to get one of those made for you. So, but all right,
thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.